was allowed to do that one time in a specific case that I had, and was allowed to give my, what I truly thought either should or should have not happened,
Yeah.
or what should be changed, or what could be an amended change in policy or procedure, etc. But I think that when we do conduct our incident reviews, they bring in an administrator from all our various facilities. That way that we can have an objective review, and we have all participants in that incident participate or interview by those individuals, and we also include our contract staff, like medical, behavioral health, etc. Because we've had cases where we've had support by, like, our local fire departments in critical incidents, local EMS, and we've had input from that part of it as well, which I think is not only demonstrates transparency, so to speak, but a culture, you develop that culture to where you want to be very objective and be able to address exactly all the elements within that incident. So.
Well, that's important. I've, in my work with law enforcement, I've had the chance to review a number of critical incident review boards after police shootings of civilians, and sometimes they are show and tell. Somebody stands up and says, "Training did a good job. Yep, investigations did a good job. Congratulations, everybody," and they're not terribly introspective and open and transparent. Other ones that I've seen have been very much that way. So what I'm hearing from you is that you feel this is a kind of a truthful, introspective look at these incidents.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
I believe it is.
Good. So those are my questions. I'm going to invite any of our team members to ask a question or make a comment if they want to at this point.
I think I just have a general question.
Sure.
Out of all the incidents that you've reviewed and seen, is there a certain type of incidents that's more likely to lead to officer injury, like breaking up a fight or having someone attack them? Is there one of those incidents that happen more often?
I think when we talk about, I call them mass disturbances, which you have a number of participants, like two different security threat group factions fighting, like in the yard, in the chow hall. We've had those out in our rotunda area, stuff like that. I think those are the incidents where we do accumulate injury to staff more often. We do have those isolated batteries, but from the reviews you can tell it just seems that was a time frame that we were looking at on the reviews, right? And it just seemed like there was some consistency there, those type and specific type of incidents happening. But right now we're having both of those types happening. We're having, because there is a lot of turbulence in our agency right now due to all the transfers and the changing of the makeup of the facilities, going to primarily restrictive housing here, and the others taking the more youthful offenders, and then our behavioral health offenders, and then those offenders, medium custody offenders. So that's caused, some turmoil, which we have had an increase in those, and to go along with those individualized staff batteries too. But I still say the mass disturbance, or where there's a number of offenders involved, those are most significant in the culmination of more than one officer being injured, to some degree. Might not be as severe or meet the definition like was in the guide for this study, but an injury is an injury, whether it's a scratch, because that can turn into something more significant, right? Or if it was a contusion, or where they had to be receive surgery, further medical treatment. You know, I had a really severe case, a really bad officer battery case in 2010. Officer almost died. He was working in B2 Cell House, and they had just let out for mill line in B-Boy 2 Cell House. He was the officer that stayed behind. One officer goes to mill line. Just during mill line, they come back, and then he made contact with an offender. He let the offender out of his cell, and the offender just beat the living, out of him, and almost killed him right at the panel box.
Wow.
Knocked him out cold, and then stomped on him. The initial response treated, medical staff here treated him. I was the investigator at the time. I met the air ambulance in the parking lot and was able to just briefly see and speak with the officer before they were getting ready to load him from the ambulance